Casey, g'day. So what can you tell us about the seat of Farrer?
Yeah, g'day, Joe. Well, Sussan Ley said today she wants to give the new leadership team clear air, right? Yes, by leaving Parliament, she will eventually do that. But in the short term, she's creating this quite messy by-election in her seat. Let's talk about Farrer. It's the former seat of the Deputy Prime Minister Tim Fischer, a National. When he retired in 2001, the Liberals and Nationals both contested it. Sussan Ley was their candidate. Sussan Ley won that seat over the Nationals by just 206 votes.
And this is in the southwest of New South Wales?
In the southwest of New South Wales. This is a seat that stretches from Albury, the city of Albury in the south, kind of stretching northwest through the state up to the border to just south of Ivanhoe. So quite a large area as well. Famously, Sussan Ley has flown a plane around it to get around and represent her district. Sussan Ley maintained that seat, was re-elected relatively comfortably because once you're a sitting Liberal MP, the Nationals cannot challenge you under the coalition agreement. But what will happen now is because there is a vacancy about to arise in Farrer, presumably both the Nationals and Liberals will contest that. And so that could potentially put some pressure on the relationship between Angus Taylor and David Littleproud, who need to be besties in Parliament.
But is there a suggestion they might come together and only one of them will nominate?
Look, it's possible.
Yeah.
The new leader, Angus Taylor, said he'll go and talk to David Littleproud about that. It would be an interesting conversation to see who would who would come out on top if they were to try and do that, because this is a seat that, to give you a sense, it overlaps with two state seats in state parliament in New South Wales, one of which is held by the Liberal Party. The other is, well, currently held by an independent, but has a long National Party history. It's got these two ends. Albury, the city, more urban, more Liberal, and some real rural and regional areas as well. So both kind of parties would say, well, we deserve a shot to run at that. There will be pressure from the local branches, I would have thought. So maybe they'll come to an arrangement, maybe there will be something there, but that is one element that could make this a complicated mess. The other mess of a seat to kind of, when the results actually come through. The other thing is we're expecting to probably see quite a big field. We know One Nation will field a candidate. We know that an independent who came second last election polled 20% of the first preference vote. She's already announced that she will run. This afternoon, Helen Dalton, who is that state MP in the overlapping seat, she said that she's getting all of these calls from constituents urging her to run, and she's thinking about it. So we might see Helen Dalton throw her hand up to move from state politics to federal politics. And we don't know who else might put their hand up. So there is every potential this becomes a 3, a 4, maybe a 5 candidate race by the end of things. Labor's probably not going to win this. They may even choose to sit out this race because really it is a safe Conservative seat, a safe non-Labor seat. It's really on the right of politics we're watching.
Would putting up a Labor candidate kind of mix things up significantly in that way? It would be strategically good for Labor to put someone up or not?
It will depend, I think, on the mix of candidates. They may bide their time and wait. There are reasons you would run a candidate. Some of it is just about keeping your organisation locally limber and, actually kind of practising the campaigning of it all. Some of it is about trying to direct, votes the way that you would like them to go. But if they think they can't win and they might actually make an opportunity for someone they would prefer to see do well, they could run dead or they could not run at all. We do see that from time to time, especially in by-elections where there's no upper house vote to worry about.
And so what's the likely timeline for this now?
Yeah, this election is a little ways off. That also means independents and minor parties have a bit more time to get their ducks in order and find a candidate and start running a campaign. Sussan Ley has said she's going to spend the next few weeks in her electorate thanking her supporters, and she will not formally tender her resignation she hasn't put a precise time on it, but at least a couple of weeks from now was the indication, which means we're not really looking at a by-election until late April at the earliest, could even stretch into May or beyond. So it really depends a bit on when Sussan Ley resigns, then the kind of ordinary campaigning period, and the Speaker will ultimately determine, Milton Dick will determine the date of that election.
And that'll be a good warm-up for you for your first federal election as without Anthony Green.
It will. I mean, there's actually, for election watchers right now in Australia, this is a really great time to be an election watcher. We've got this Farrer by-election coming. We've got a South Australian election next month. That's going to be very interesting. We're talking a lot about One Nation today and the sort of reorganisation on the right. Well, One Nation's also polling very well in South Australia. Do they do well there? So interesting stories there. There's also a Victorian by-election in the seat of Nepean. The former Deputy Liberal leader Sam Groth is resigning. And in the NT this week, we've seen another by-election called. So there's a lot of elections happening at once at the moment, Joe. So I'm very busy. Election watchers are thrilled. There's a lot to be keeping an eye on.
Okay, thanks, Casey.
Thanks, Joe.